and welcome back to my craft room. I'm just going to start work on yet another piece inspired by our collaboration, Inspired by Fairy Stories. That's where I got together with 6 other arty YouTubers and we all created a piece of artwork in our own favourite style and a format inspired by the fairy story of our choice. I just couldn't decide and I've got like a dozen ideas that I want to do, so I'm going to gradually work through them. This video will probably, so the first video should have gone out on Sunday the 31st of July. That's another one I've already scheduled to go out on the Tuesday following the 2nd of August, so I'll probably do this one on the Thursday the 4th, so it's probably the Thursday the 4th of August when you're seeing this. I'm making a start now and this is going to take me quite a while, and although I say this was inspired by our collaboration, it is actually a project that I already started, in fact months ago, and I've been meaning to redo. So what this has done is inspired me to get back to it, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So for my first artful box, the first one, you get to choose whichever box you like from the previous boxes, and I chose the lino cutting because it's something I hadn't tried for a long time, and it was actually one thing I didn't have a lot of supplies for. And you've got this little set of lino cutting tools. You've got 2 things of block printing ink, so it's all SD make, a black and a red. And you've got a brayer. I've put another one of my own brayers in there because I ended up using another one for rolling. I wanted a clean one for rolling and paper over the top. I also bought myself another thing of ink, a gold colour one, same brand. There's the book in there. I put this little stamp pad in, just a random sort of handy size one, and because I found that when I was carving out, it helped just to swipe this over it just to see where I still needed to carve away. I haven't seen anyone else suggest doing that, so there may be a really good reason why you shouldn't, but it worked for me. Anyway, more of that as we go along. I did a couple of things at the time. This is one that I did for I think it was a Valentine's card. I did this one for my husband. This was based on a quince because we had a quince tree, and we used to harvest the quinces and make jams and jellies, and we found a lovely quince flavoured wine in Hungary, so it had big memories for us. So yeah, this was one of the first ones that I did. And now getting back to today's project, the one I'm going to start today or go back to, this is inspired by the fairy story The Red Shoes. I think is an absolutely terrifyingly dark story. You know, it's another one of those that I remember being horribly fascinated by when I was a kid, and with some very strong imagery, I think. And it's something I've been meaning to do, something inspired by it, for a long time. So yeah, I had to go with this. Now this was meant to be a picture of the girl dancing. These are the red shoes, and the girl is dancing. At this point she's dancing through a dark forest. I'll tell you once I get into the carving and do a speed through of the carving, I'll tell the story properly. So this was my picture. I used a few different photographic references. I wanted it to look as if the shoes are going, she's being pulled forward. She's trying to hang back. The rest of her body is trying to hang back, and she's being pulled forward by the shoes. So that was the idea. So I started off with that as my sketch. Then I did a tracing of it, transferred that to the lino, carved it. You can see there where I've swiped across with that red ink pad to show me where the lines are, where I might need to carve more away, and then did my first print. And it's okay, it's a real thrill the first time you do your own print. It's an absolute thrill to do, but there were lots of bits that I really wasn't happy with, and I think I've got another one where I made some notes. So I decided it wasn't worth doing a separate stamp just for the shoes, a separate kind of block for the shoes. So I just coloured those in with some acrylic ink, and I quite like how that's got a bit of a sheen to it. Actually, it just makes them a bit different. I might even put a little bit of in the final piece, I might do a bit of shimmer with my kind of Wing Castella pen or something like that. Yeah, just to make them more magical. So yeah, there were various bits that just weren't right, so I decided I would have to carve it. I wanted to add, I've done it in, I've added some of these lines across here in pen afterwards. I want to see if I can carve that in, so I've made a little note about that. You can see that here I didn't carve it so that it was dark behind the figure. We need the contrast here to be able to see where that figure is. And I ended up with this strange white outline because of how I carved it. So that happened because the first thing I did was carve away that outline. But of course that's not what I want to do, because that means that part won't pick up ink. So you're going to end up with a white outline, which might be great, but not for my purposes here. I don't want a white outline. I might like to deliberately leave a white where it's perhaps catching the moonlight or something. So I might think about that as I go along. So having done it once, and it was a lot harder than I thought to keep track of where it needed to be black, where it needed to be white. I put BW all along here to try and keep track. I'm really keen to have another go now and just try and perfect what I did. You can see here where I've filled that in, the outline. Some bits, like here, I've penned back in some extra lines, because I think I carved these trees out too much. So I've put shading and texture on the trees. Yeah, I've actually carved them away too efficiently. So I want to leave more of these scratchy lines. There's a word for them. Do they call them I'm going to have to look that up because I can't remember now. But there's a word for these scratchy lines that get left where you haven't quite carved it all away. And I think I want more than I've got there. So I've sort of penned those back in. This was my actual print. This is where I've sort of roughed in the red shoes and the other bits that I need to change. So I'm going to have to really concentrate to get this right. It's harder than you think. But it is really, it's very therapeutic to do. So I put my sketch out of the way. All I need at the moment is my cutting tools and my new block. It does seem it seems a bit wasteful to use, because it is quite expensive, this stuff, to use, another piece, but it's all part of the learning process. And what I might do is cut some of these sections out and use them as stamps when I'm collaging and things. They'd be nice for interesting background texture and stuff, so I might, it might not be wasted. What I'm going to do is, it will take me a few hours. It took me quite a long time before. There's different kinds of lino for cutting. There's this one as well. They're all quite expensive, unfortunately, these days. Oh, I love the smell of it. And it does have a life as well. If you have any and you haven't used it, don't leave it too long, because it just goes hard, rigid, and absolutely unusable. I treated myself to this huge piece, because so this is like a blown up version of something I did for some challenge we were doing. So it's kind of like that, similar to those kind of Japanese prints, supposed to be similar to that effect. And then it had a red boat here, so I'd like to do like a blown up version of that on here, really big. So I've treated myself to that big piece. So that's one kind of lino. And this is kind of a softer kind. I think it's probably a bit easier to work with. It's got a shiny surface on one side and like more matte on the other, and you carve on the matte one. These little tools are lovely, because you get all these different shape blades to cut out different sizes of line. And I think I found that I used this one, which is kind of a V shape. I used that probably more than anything, and I also I didn't use this one at all. I couldn't work out what it was for. But yeah, there's some of them are more kind of U-shaped. Yes, there's a square shaped one there. I don't think I used that either. It might be for getting bigger areas. That's quite a deep V, that one. So yeah, all different depending on what you're doing. And the general thing is so you don't kind of dig right down. You don't sort of dig down at that sort of angle and scoop too much. You want to kind of, you want to get it about, I don't know, I suppose it's about a 45-degree angle, and then as you go along you scoop up, so you're sort of going, scooping up, like, because otherwise you just gouge right down into it. So it's like, don't try and do too much at once. Yeah, it's sort of maybe a 45-degree angle to just go in, and then straight away tip it up like that. But I'm not an expert liner cutter, so this is not meant to be a tutorial. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just sort of showing you my process as I go along. It's such a lovely feeling. It's a very satisfying feeling. But there are lots and lots of tutorials done by people who know what they're doing. I think Casper, who was one of our collaborators, he did a lino print. He'll probably be able to show you much better than me. So I need to put this where I can see it. So I need my one with my notes where I need to change things, and my one as it came out. Get these out of the way. My tools handy. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get started carving this out. It's probably going to take me quite a while, and I need to make myself really slow down and concentrate on what I'm doing so that I carve the right pieces out. And the one thing that I don't want to do is what I did last time, which is start by carving all around the outline of everything, because that's why I got that white line around the edge here, so I don't want that. I think maybe the first thing to do is to start getting an outline, but by carving away either side of it. So I'm gonna start with that, and I'm gonna use this. It's quite a small, kind of a soft V shape. It's a number 2. I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to go up the outline of this because I think it's quite an easy bit to do. So I'm going to carve just either side of my line so that I leave the line behind, because that's what will pick up the ink. Okay, concentrate on what you're doing, women. And it's better to take away just a little bit at a time and then have to take away some more than take away too much, because you can't put it back. Okay, so I'm just going to show you now a little 2 or 3 minutes speeded up version of me carving this while or as long as it takes me to tell the story, and then I'll come back and show you the actual printing part. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Well, the full original story is far too long to read for this video, so I'm going to read you a plot summary that I found on Wikipedia instead. So a peasant girl named Karen is adopted while still very young by a rich old lady after her mother's death, and as such she grows up vain and spoiled. Before her adoption, Karen had a roughly made pair of red shoes. After, she has her foster mother buy her a pair of red shoes fit for a princess. Karen is so enamoured of her new shoes that she wears them to church, but the old lady tells her that was highly improper. You must only wear black shoes in church. However, the following Sunday, Karen is unable to resist putting the red shoes on again. As she's about to enter the church, she meets a mysterious old soldier with a red beard. "Oh, what beautiful shoes for dancing," the soldier says. "Never come off when you dance," he tells the shoes, and taps each of them with his hand. After church, Karen cannot resist taking a few dance steps, and off she goes as though the shoes controlled her. But she does finally manage to stop them after a few minutes. After her adoptive mother becomes ill and passes away, Karen doesn't attend her funeral, choosing to go to a dance instead. Once again, her shoes take control, and this time she's unable to stop dancing. An angel appears to her bearing a sword and condemns her to dance even after she dies, as a warning to vain children everywhere. Karen begs for mercy, but the red shoes take her away before she hears the angel's reply. Karen finds an executioner and asks him to chop off her feet. He does so, but the shoes continue to dance, even with Karen's amputated feet still inside them. The executioner gives her a pair of wooden feet and crutches. Thinking that she's suffered enough for the red shoes, Karen decides to go to church so people can see her. Yet her amputated feet, still in the red shoes, dance before her, barring the way. The following Sunday she tries again, thinking she's at least as good as the others in church. But again the dancing red shoes bar the way. When Sunday comes again, Karen dares not go to church. Instead, she sits at home alone and prays to God for help. The angel reappears, now bearing a spray of roses, and gives Karen the mercy she asked for. Her heart becomes so filled with peace and joy that it bursts. Her soul flies to heaven, where no one mentions the red shoes. That's a horrible ending. Apparently, Anderson named the story's anti-heroine Karen after his own loathed half-sister, Karen Marie Anderson. The origins of the story are based on an incident that Anderson witnessed himself as a small child. His father, who was a shoemaker, was sent a piece of red silk by a rich lady to make a pair of dancing slippers for her own daughter. Using some valuable red leather along with the silk, he carefully created a pair of shoes, only for the rich customer to tell him that they were awful. She said he'd done nothing but spoil her silk. To which his father replied, "In that case, I may as well spoil my leather too," and cut up the shoes right in front of her. Well, so that's how that went. It's making me think now that I need to take a leaf out of Cutie's Voodoo's book and do another painting, just showing the amputated feet still dancing in the shoes. Make an amazing painting. I can imagine Cutie's Voodoo doing that one. Anyway, so that's the end of my story for today. I think we're nearly at the point where I can hand you back to my other self. Yeah, here we go. Right, so I think I've carved it out how I want it, as near as I can tell. I might need to just make this line a little bit thinner. Hang on. Sometimes when you look at it on the screen, things jump out at you that you don't notice. Carve a little bit more that way. Oops, it's not a word you want to hear doing this. Neither is ouch. Notice I'm not having my, trying to remember not to have my hand up there. I'm keeping my hand out the way in case I slip. Right, so you can see I've taken quite a lot of material off. There, let's get rid of that now. I mostly used that small V-shaped tool, and then I did go in with this sort of larger round one as well. And it was really handy to use that ink because you can just see where you need to go a bit more easily, I think. I should maybe wipe it off a bit before I put other ink on it, but I'm not going to worry. Right, so the other thing I bought myself to add to the kit is this little kind of ink tray. And the kit came with a sheet of acetate, which you can use, but every time you roll it and pick it up, the acetate sheet comes up with it. I could have just done it straight on this glass mat, but it's more difficult to clean up, so I went with this. One of the Artful sketch pads. I don't think it came with this kit. I think it was another pad of paper that came with this kit, but it was similar. And this is a water-based ink. Some of them are more oil-based, they're harder to clean up, so this is a much easier clean up, although it's still a bit messy, but it's not so bad. So you've got the brayer to do the inking with that came with the kit, but then when you come to do the actual printing, it's nice to have another brayer to go over the back of the paper with, and it's just these. You could use the same one, but you'd get ink all over it. I just found it's cleaner just have a separate brayer, and I had one anyway. So right now, it's been ages and ages since I did this, so let's see how this goes. I seem to remember them saying you only need about as much as you would use of toothpaste. That's probably a little bit more than I would use of toothpaste, but. And then somebody I was watching said there's no point in spreading the ink further than the size of the roller because you'd just be wasting it. So. And you roll it, you start to, as you're rolling it, it starts to make a different noise. You're about to hear that. Makes a sort of sticky noise, and it just starts to feel stickier, and that seems to be when it's about ready to go. I feel like maybe I've got a bit too much ink there, but we'll see. It's only doesn't matter, I can do it over and over again if I need to. Okay, so now I'm going to roller this over the surface of my printing plate. It's so satisfying, this. And you've got a little while, it doesn't dry up really fast like as if it was acrylic paint or something, so you don't need to panic. It smells different as well. There we go, so I think that's fairly well covered. It looks like it's going to come out much darker than the first one, which is probably good. Now I'm just going to drop my pattern. I don't have to worry about fancy things like registering it or anything. I just need to make sure that once I put it on I don't move it again, because I'm not going to use another colour or anything. This is a really straightforward one colour print. I suppose I want it to be fairly central on the paper though. I've got that lined up with the squares on my glass cutting mat, so so now it's on. I don't want to be moving it about on there at all. So this is where, here's the back of the spoon to rub over it. And as I say, I found it quite handy to have another brayer. You need to make sure you go all over. Put plenty of pressure on all over, more than you would think. Well, more than I thought anyway. This is exciting though. It's very satisfying when it works. Of course it won't now, because I'm filming it, it won't work. So I'm just going to have a little peek now. But I'm keeping it still on this so I can just drop it back down again. Oh yeah, that's nowhere near enough. So let's give it a good rub all over with this as well then. And it might be that this first one is a duff one anyway. Because this is where with a professional printing setup you'd just put it in the press now and roll it through. Nope, it's still not there. I might not have inked it enough looking at it. I suppose it's getting hot. Might ink it a bit more generously next time. I think I'm going to lift it up now and re-ink it a bit more generously. This will give me some idea of how it's looking generally. Oh, this leg's looking a bit clumsy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything about that because I think I've just carved away too much. Take a little bit of this. The ink is really sticky. Feel it on my... I'm filthy. Yes, I don't just nothing. I've just carved out too much here, so there's really nothing I can do. I don't think. I think if I tried to make it right by carving that up more though, I'm just going to give her one huge fat leg, so that's a shame. I did that better the first time. Let's just go to my bigger blade a minute. Probably should have cleaned this off first. I'm doing this all wrong, but hey ho. Okay, I'm really ready this time. I think there's still enough ink on here. We'll try. If not, I'll just do another one. It'll be fine. That sound, that is the sound that seems, that's when it's kind of ready, I think. Give it a run over with this first, make it kind of stick for a start. I hope it does, because I felt like that just moved. Right, and now we got the spoon again. Right. It's a bit better. Not sure if I still want more of that dress. I want that to look more starkly white against the... Yeah, I think I do. So what I'm going to do is stop filming for a minute, take some more. I'm going to clean this off, clean it off before it dries, and just take quite a lot more off of this dress. I think I need that to look really white against the background of the forest. But I think other than that, and having to just correct that little mistake in there, I can just do that with ink and a pen. I think I'm okay with that. Missed a little bit down there. I think I need to ink the block a little bit more generously and spend a bit more time pressing it really, really hard. But yeah, I'm just going to have a bit of a clean up, bit more chiseling, and then I'm ready for hopefully the final print. Right. I was too lazy to go and clean this tray off after all. It was only a few minutes, so I'm hoping it's going to be okay. It's making that noise again, so I think that's probably okay. Let's go for it. Okay. Quick roller first. Right, and now I'm going to rub it all over. I'm going to shut off the film while I do this. It's taken me ages. Okay, I think I'm ready for the big reveal. Oop, just get that corner. If there's tiny patches, I will just cheat and fill it in with pen, but oh, looking good, looking good. Oh yeah, that's the best print yet, I reckon. That's pretty good, isn't it? Says she. It is. It looks how I wanted it to look, except for the faults that I've already pointed out. I'm quite happy with that. It's real fun to do. I'm just going to quickly see if I can get another print off of that. Right. So I've got a couple of things ready. I've got this tri-blend marker. It's a Spectrum Noir alcohol ink pen, and the great thing about it is you've got 3 different shades of the same colour in one pen, so light, middle and dark. So I'm going to use that for the red shoes. I've had a little bit of a practice on this duff one just to see how it works. I've got my Wink Stella pen, and if you've never seen one of these, they're brilliant. I'll show you on there. I'll show you on this one. So you just brush lightly over it. It dries really quickly, and hopefully the camera will pick. Oh, it's still wet now. It's not quite dry yet. It'll still look a bit wet, but it just gives a really subtle shimmer. It's not glittery, but it's got tiny sparkles in it. I just think it'll make them look more magical. So I'm definitely going to do that. I also got a little pen. It's grey one end and black the other, brush pen. I just got it because it's really nice dark black. I've got this mono eraser, sand eraser, made by Tombow, and it's quite good at taking ink off. I used to use it a lot when I used to stamp. There's nothing worse than spending ages on a card and then ruining it by getting a smudge of ink just as you're doing the greeting right at the very end. I've managed to lean all over the place here because I hadn't bothered to wait until this was completely dry like I should have. So I've got smudges from my hands. Let's just let's do this one first. I've got to not lean my dirty hands on here now. Oh no, let's do the black bit first. So I just wanted to just tweak the shape of this leg, because I just carved out a bit too much. So I'm just going to do it all over in the lighter red first, but I just got to remember to leave a little highlight where the moonlight's catching her toe. Perhaps a little bit along this top edge as well. But all of this back bit will be dark, so I'll colour all of that in. Maybe a little glint of light just here. I've just forgotten to leave out the highlight. Okay, so now we're going to have to bring in an acrylic paint pen. Oh, now we'll put a bit of the dark at the back. Let's use the middle colour. It is so nice having the 3 shades of the same colour, and then you can go back with the light to kind of blend them together. Just going to do the finest line. It's really hard not being able to lean on the paper. I should just wait till tomorrow, but I don't want to. And then I'm just going to give it my old Winker Stella job. There we go, already got a bit of a sparkle going on now. Right, so I'm going to do the same with the other one, and then I'm going to mount them, and then I'll come back and show you how they look. Okay, right, I have finished tweaking and mounting my two prints. In the morning I'll probably write the red shoes underneath as a title, and perhaps I'll sign it somewhere as well. And what I'm thinking is, because I've got two, I don't mind keeping one, but I don't need two exactly the same. So what I thought would be fun is to do one as a giveaway to celebrate our collaboration. So if anybody would like to have a copy of this, I don't mind where you are in the world, I don't mind posting it, just pop a comment and just say yes please or something. and I'll on the last day of August I will put all the interested names in a hat and pick a winner, because it might be that nobody puts their name down. It'll be a bit embarrassing. Hopefully somebody will want one. If not, I'll turn it into a birthday card for somebody, and then I'll get it whether they like it or not. Okay, anyway, so here's my, all I've got to do is title it and sign it now. Here's my finished lino cut, lino print. I really enjoyed doing that, and I'm sure the more I do it, the better it will get. So the next one to try is that really huge one with the waves and the little red boat. And I need to get around to doing that before the lino goes hard. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon. Bye.